Hello everyone and also hello teacher. Today our group will be presenting chapter 5, clarifying and interpreting expressions and idea. And our group include Vuttay, Punriy, Khadara, Vanal, Kimhap and me, Suthi. So without further ado, let's get started. Imagine that you are reading newspaper or article and you comes across a word or expression that are new to you and you are not clear what that expression means. So what would you do? And well, in this chapter we'll talk about clarifying and interpreting expressions and idea.
Chapter 5.1. What is the problem? Is it vagueness, ambiguity, a need for example, or something else? Now, if you come across a situation where you're not sure about something, there's probably a bunch of few ways where you can do something about that. Say, for example, if you were approached with the problem that was given at hand. Now, in the beginning of the chapter, we were introduced to three problems. One being organic food. You do not know what that means. Now, if that were to happen, what you can do is probably to get more context on what organic food is. Now, after context, you can try to understand that phrase based on what you've heard. In another sense, you can check online sources or go to the internet because that's very common in these days of how people become familiar with a certain topic. And sometimes they might try to check the dictionary, but dictionary only gives a certain definition, not something that it's bound by the book, and something that you're not supposed to use as normal information. Now, at certain times where you're not able to check the context or for online sources, you can try asking an expert. Now, in this case, if you were approached with the question, do you know anything about organic food? First thing you should do is, okay, what is organic food related to, or the context of organic food? And then just jump right straight to finding information on the internet and possibly ask an expert to find out more. Now, the other phrase is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, proof beyond a reasonable doubt is different from the two words that were presented above. And in this case, the phrase proof beyond a reasonable doubt is very hard to determine the context, but what you can do is ask the judge, because the judge in this case plays a role as the expert in the case, and he will explain to you. Now, assuming that you don't know what that is. But on the other hand, you can also interpret the phrase or use his guidance as sufficient way to advance your case if you were to use that phrase.
Now let's move to 5.2. What is the audience? When you hear the word audience, the first meaning that might come to your mind is a person or group of people or listeners at a public event such as a concert, film or meeting. So in this point of the chapter, the audience means very similar to earlier meaning, but it's about people for whom you clarify a phrase. Different kind of audience needs different level of clarification. But if you are talking to a businessman who have contact to farmers and want to sell them, this would not be enough for them. They need more detail on this phrase to be able to label them and make it to the market. Example, a phrase says organic foods are produced without chemical pesticides and artificial fertilizers. For people who have no idea what organic foods are, the context produced without chemical pesticide and artificial fertilizer might be enough or sufficient for them to understand. Another example to get a better understanding is mineral water contains more minerals than simple water. This context might be sufficient for simple people to understand a phrase mineral water, but for a chemistry expertise they must need more detail on what are minerals, and they want you to list down more specific about mineral substance. So this is how different audience need different clarification.
Hello everyone, so in this part I will talk about 5.3. Given the audience, what will provide sufficient clarification for present purpose. So sometimes you want to be clear about what other mean, but in other cases when you are the one who talk or write yourself, you want to be clear what you want to present to the audience so that your audience won't be confused. So in this part there are two sections. The first one is the possible causes, sources, and the second one is the ways of clarifying expression. For 5.3.1 possible sources of clarification, in this section there are three ways to clarify the meaning of a word. A dictionary definition, B, a definition from an authority in the field, and C is deciding on a meaning. For A dictionary definition, so sometimes when you read something and you don't know the meaning of a word, the normal thing you will do is you will go check it in a dictionary. So that means that a dictionary definition is what you would use for the general usage, standard usage. So for example, you read some Charlotte Bronte work and found the word eleemosynary. So you might wonder what the word means. Then normally when you want to find the meaning, you will go to the dictionary and check it. And eleemosynary means charitable, but there are still some vagueness in this word, so that's why you can use another source for clarification, which is B, a definition from an authority in the field. So when you read a specialized material, a dictionary won't be enough for you to find the definition. So then you will have to look the word up in textbook or works of reference in that field. For example, the word mean and median in statistics, hearsay evidence and circumstantial evidence in law, and real wages and economic growth in economic, and etc. So this word you might check it on the internet like encyclopedia, but besides from checking in textbook and work, you can ask someone in that field like a lawyer, an economist, and so on. And also another way that you can clarify the meaning of the word is C, deciding on a meaning. Sometimes the people in the field want to distinguish between different kinds of things in their field. So then they would make up and design new meaning for new term so that it could be used accordingly. For example, lawyer want to distinguish the type of evidence, then they can make up special meaning for a new special term that they make up, like the word hearsay evidence and the word circumstantial evidence. So this is all for the part.